Computer. All right. Kristen, I'm just gonna assume she can hear. We're gonna go ahead and get it started. welcome everyone to the Council of One channeling group session 14, I believe. And what I wanted to do with this session, we've been moving fast and we've been covering a lot of ground and we've been offering a lot of exercises for several months now, 3+ months. And I wanted to take a session to just calm down, take a breath, review some of what we have covered. I want I want to create a little bit of space for everybody to talk about your favorite exercises, your favorite aspects of these dimensions you've learned of yourself. We're definitely going to have time tonight to share anybody that transcribed their pep talk or your homework from this week, your question. We'll have time for that as well. And we're going to look at just the format of really what makes this space work. And Marvelous keeps having great questions and a specific interest in being able to offer a channel panel experience to her own group. And that's something that I envisioned as a part of this from the very beginning. Like I told you all, I really envisioned this as being a genre of performing arts, like spoken word poetry is a genre of poetry. It's a specific container, and if you understand the container, anyone can offer a spoken word jam, or a slam poetry event. Anyone, you just got to understand the parameters. What are the rules of the game? And so I feel Marvelous very interested in what are the rules of the game and how do you conduct that. Um, and so we're going to kind of address that tonight. Now, what I did see really quickly when I went in to look at this is the channel panel is not a place where we're going to focus on teacher training. Channel panel is the channeling choir. Channel panel is where we um, warm up our vocal cords and where we do some yoga stretches and we get on stage and we shake our butts. We sing and dance and discover ourselves anew. That's what channel panel is, okay? But for those of you that are going to want to offer this kind of experience to others, there will be a teacher training course that we offer. It'll be a separate thing, and it's basically meta. It's like, what do we do that really makes this work, and what are the principles? What are the most basic principles needed for people to be able to have this kind of experience with themselves? Okay. Once y'all understand those principles and you've done the exercises enough inside of yourself, offering these experiences to other people is a pretty simple thing, you know? And don't believe that it has anything to do with my personality or my charisma or anything like that. It's just a very simple container. And if you use this framework in this container with a group of people, everybody's going to feel included and everybody's going to feel free to offer to add, and you're going to have a beautiful, powerful, social experience. That's really the key. So we're going to talk about those parameters tonight. But before we do, let's go around really quick, and I want you to close your eyes and tell us anything that feels important to you to share about this past week. I know several of you have had some very, very important weeks for different reasons. And I hope that you will allow yourself to dig deep and just share that with us. Now, can you start for us, Marvelous?
Hi everyone. Um, I've been pretty busy this week with work and my kiddos here, so I haven't had a lot of time to be reflective. But the the theme that keeps coming up is centering and just kind to this is a space and a time for a rebirth for me. And the past couple of weeks, what I hear and the theme has been more like stillness, sort of like, the image that is coming through right now is I'm getting in an elevator and I'm going to a different floor. In the meantime, I'm still in the elevator, and that's okay, because the next floor is up for grabs. Is whatever I want it to be. So that's where I am right now, and that's the message that's been coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. And I did get your file. I was able to download it. But then I was not able to get it from my phone to my computer. I tried 3 or 4 times to airdrop it to myself, and I
Um,
couldn't. And I couldn't.
yeah.
I couldn't email it because it's too big. And you recorded a video file, so it's a much bigger file than it would be if you had done audio. But we're going to talk about recording strategy, and we have to figure out a very specific way that everybody can share these because that's going to be a necessary part of you creating stuff. So we got to figure out these tech challenges, y'all. But I
Yeah.
did get it, Marvelous. I did listen to it. It's awesome. I love it. I did not have a chance to transcribe it. Did you transcribe it yet?
Yeah. I transcribed it. I wrote it on the school.
Oh,
It's
beautiful.
there.
Do you have it with you? Can you read it for us tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Not right now, but we're gonna have time
Okay.
for everybody to share anything you transcribed. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Zori, can you share anything that feels important for you for this week?
Yeah, man. Peace and blessings, love and light to everyone. Happy again to be here. Very blessed and grateful to be here. I'm going to speak about the two things that happened to me last night, this morning. So I've been meeting some new people, and I'm joining some groups on Instagram just to, saying connect with some people, some like-minded energy. And I've been in a very creative space. And last night I had a conversation with two people, and I had a chance to share with them our practice and the things that we do here. And one of the guys, he's an artist, and you know, every time me and him have talked this week, we just started talking this week, but every time we got on the phone and talked this week, something told me, talk to him about light language, record something for him, give him something. And we were on the phone for a very long time yesterday, just building. It's been a very long time since I had an exchange in that manner. And we were swapping stories and telling stories. And I was like, yo, before I forget, I want to talk to you about light language, light code. I was asking him if he knew anything about it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna, take a few breaths and then I'm gonna get into it. And so I started doing the shamanic sounds, and then I got into the light code, the light language with him, and I could hear him like, whoo, like it was the message seemed like it was very specific for him. He has a very aggressive and a fiery nature, and the light language that I gave him was very fiery and very aggressive. Um, and he was like, "Man, I had to start recording that shit." He was like,
Mhm.
"Bruh," he was like, "What the hell were you doing?" And he was like, "It was almost like you were saying like because we had talked about a mantra before, and he was like, it's almost like you were asking yourself a question and then repeating the mantra that we had just said." And he was like, what was that, the stuff you started doing at first? He was like, He was like, man, I really like that. And I was like, yeah, that was the shamanic sounds. He was like, did you just come up with that? I was like, no, this is the format that I've been given by my shaman. I was telling him about you and just telling him a little bit about the self-love activation and just hearing his response and feeling the energy, like the energy was just taking over me. And he was like, he recorded it and I was like, just listen to it and see what that does for you. And he was like, man, you blew my mind out of that. He was just like, it was just sounding like a real language. He was like, it sounds so like a real language. And he really resonated with it, and I knew he would because he's an artist and he's like a prophet in his own right, and he um he has a very powerful voice, and the way he raps and makes music, man, he always delivers a very profound message with his music. And then I had another friend who who told me they couldn't sleep, and I was like, why don't you try some breath work? And they were like, well, it's easier when, I'm listening to somebody breathing to me. So I was like, all right, I'm about to send you this sound and then I'm gonna call you. And then we're going, what I'm saying, we're gonna do some breath work. And we did like 8 minutes of breath work. And I was like, you know what? Let me give them the light language and let me channel a message for them. Like it was just very spontaneous, but it was like something told me like I was a little hesitant, but something because I don't know how in tune they are with this stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
something told me like give them the light language, give them the shamanic sounds, like do your whole spiel, like do it the way that we did it in our practice, the way you told us to do it in our practice. I really like that format. It's just such a structured format. Um, Getting into the shamanic sounds, getting into the light language, and then channeling a message. And that's exactly what I did in that the 3 parts, just like that. I took a few breaths. We did like 10 minutes of breathing, and I could hear them breathing. So I was like, okay, they're getting into it. They're getting into it. And I was like, just follow your breath and keep breathing, but I'm going to start doing something a little different now. And I just want you to listen to me as I do it. So I just started doing the shamanic sounds and then I did light language. And I started off quiet because I didn't want to be too loud. And then I just started getting into it and start getting into it and start getting into it. And then I channeled this like 20-minute message for them. And um I just they weren't saying anything after I channeled the message. So I just hung up the phone and just allowed them to be. And then when I woke up, they were like, bro, I felt like my soul went somewhere different. Like you made me breathe, you made me cry, you made me purge. They was like, and I ended up just falling straight to sleep. And they was like, I but I told them before, like I hung up and I texted them. I said, "Thank you so much for that. Like you're amazing." Just because they're allowing me to practice my gift, and they were just like, "Yo, I don't know what happened to me last night, but they were like, I never felt like that before. Like, and it just was so powerful, and they just felt like their soul went somewhere different, and I just really like what we're doing here and what we're learning here because I'm just seeing the format that you're giving us and how I can correlate it into real time and like a real practice for people and how I can really just get into it, like really just get into it and dive into it. But it just felt really awesome to like be there for somebody in a way that was like I know I channeled a message for them. My body was shaking, my hips, like my when I was channeling the message, not when I was speaking the light language, but when I started to like channel the message for them, like my body was shaking and I was like, whoa, like what's going on? But I just kept going into it. And I just kept talking and kept allowing the flow. And it was like a really, really explosive exchange and like a really, really, it was, I'll never forget that exchange. I'll never forget that exchange. Because it was the first time I wasn't sure if somebody would, if I don't know where they are in their spiritual practice or what they do, but it just felt like I should do that and give that to them. And I didn't talk to them about it before. It was just like, let's get into it. And the spontaneity of it and just the power that I felt and the effectiveness of it, it was really, really dope. really, really dope, man. I wish I could have recorded it, but I didn't know I was even going to get into all of that. So just to allow the magic to flow and to if for it to be received, it's a really awesome thing for me. So that's what I have to share.
Amen. That's beautiful. That's beautiful, bro. And you're taking the tools from Channel Panel into your real life and offering it to others, and you're witnessing the value of that offer. And you do it like that many times. You just offer it freely, and you'll start to understand the power of it, and how it really works and who you can really help with it. And then eventually people see the value and start offering to pay you and stuff, like, but you have to do it within yourself. You have to build the process within yourself. You have to build the ritual within yourself first. Then you can lead others into that ritual. And the way you're doing it is incredibly intuitive, and I love it. And it sounds like, they're getting tremendous benefit from it. So keep allowing that to unfold, because that's the magic right there. Thank you. Um, Bridget, what can you tell us about the past week, your journey, your process?
Am I muted or unmuted? Oh, okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. I've been doing my work, the shamanic sounds and the light. I'm mostly singing my light language now.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent you my thing, but you know what? I have not had a chance to transcribe any of my, and I have a lot of them that are untranscribed.
Mm-hmm.
I've been so busy this week. So it's going to be catch up all week long this coming week to get it all done and into the general thing for everybody to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've been so focused and stressed over the whole reunion thing that I don't remember anything to even contribute anything today. So, feel bad about that, but I'm glad I survived the reunion.
Yeah. I'm glad you survived the reunion too. And how many have you done total? You've done like 30 something of these, haven't you?
I can tell you right now how many I have on there.
I think you're at like 36 or something.
I think I have like 39.
That's fucking discipline, y'all. That's amazing.
37.
That's amazing. And if you try and figure out what all you learned from it, it's going to be very hard with all of that audio. You know what I'm saying? Like, to figure out what came through you. But when you take the time to transcribe it, you can look back and see and revisit it and reactivate inside yourself very quickly. And
No,
that's what part of this transcription challenge is really about, is learning the power of that.
and sometimes I remember things that I was feeling, but I didn't actually say, even though I try and speak through it. So it all comes.
Mhm.
So sometimes I'll end up adding things in the transcription, and I will say, or something happens as I'm transcribing that I feel is happening.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Kristen, what can you tell us about your week?
My COVID staycation.
Mhm.
Um, I will talk about two things. And through this process of healing, I found it was very important to breathe deeply into my lungs. Even if I knew it was aggravating a cough, it was important to keep the airways as open as possible. And I was doing a lot of humming, especially at the end, to break up whatever was in my chest. And I was tapping and just moving all the energy around. And by doing that, I can feel that the energy pathways had opened up in a much deeper way than I've previously had before. And then I felt called to do breath of fire, which is a Kundalini breath. And I didn't do it as long as I usually do, but it felt important to work with the breath again. And I had created this internal heat. And it felt like I was fevering again. And I don't know if I really was, or it was just the breath. But then I did shadow work with it, and I began doing cord cutting ceremonies with limiting thought patterns, with toxicity, how I've been toxic in relationships and how I've received toxicity, etc. And then Archangel Metatron came to me, and he said that you have completed the initiation of alchemy. And he said a few other words to me, and I was just in deep gratitude that he had presented himself. And then to my left, Mary Magdalene came in, and she put a necklace of roses over my head. And I started crying with deep gratitude. I just kept saying thank you and thank you and thank you. And I just stayed in that energy for several minutes. And then I think we got the text from you about our homework assignment, about like our pep talk. So I was out on several walks this week. And one of them, I was like, all right, so let's think about this pep talk. And, you know, because I do a lot of like moving meditations. And then it kept coming up. Why are you afraid? What are you afraid of? And it was very impactful to speak aloud the things that I am afraid of, the fears that I have. And what I also saw is that I see myself doing great things, becoming incredibly activated versions of myself, but I'm afraid of doing that step now, of buying the ingredients that I need to make in order for me to have a successful skincare line, to do the other things now in order to be a successful spiritual guide leader in the future. I see that version, but I'm afraid and I'm stuck in the present. So I've been working with, why am I feeling so stuck now when I know I can get to that point, but I'm afraid to make a move now? So that's what I've been working with this week.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. I love it. I love it. Some very powerful lessons. Very powerful lessons. And I'm glad you all are continuing to deepen your relationship with your guides, because they are friends for life, but you have to create the space to connect with them. Coretta, are you there? Are you there, madam? Heather, can you say something? Or are you on the wall tonight? Oh, there's, hold on, let me do Coretta first.
I'm sorry. It takes me a while for some reason to click on it to open my video back up. Yeah, it takes a minute.
That's all right. Tell us anything you can about like your last week or two, hon.
Whew, this week's been rough for me. Hi everyone. I went camping last weekend, first time ever, so I wanted to mark it off my bucket list before my surgery. But it was not a great decision. I third day back home, I couldn't walk. I was bent over really bad, so I've had some pain in my lower back that just popped up, I guess, because I slept on a harder mattress than what I'm used to. It was a bunk bed. And so I was in pain. So, but I did really practice more on my meditation. I actually did I recorded my first time recording something, and I sent it to Satek. I don't really know all the rules, and I wish I could figure out how to ask y'all what we're supposed to be doing, because some things I'm still unclear about. Like the um transcribing.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? I don't know what y'all talking about. So I need
Mhm.
more clarity on that. But I've been meditating better, meditating more, trying to calm my mind. And I think the recording I did was really, really wow, is all I could say. I don't know who Lapatia is, but I was calling their name or its name or somebody. Um, and it made me feel so much better. I just woke up with that on my spirit that morning. My granddaughter came to my door and knocked on the door. She thought I was going crazy and thought something was going on. I got loud, I guess, at some point. But it felt so good afterwards. So I'm still learning, trying to figure that out. And would like any help if possible, if anybody could kind of catch me up more. I did go back and look at the 2 last weeks that I missed. So I'm caught up on that. And everybody's amazing. Just, I want to understand more. That's it.
Amen. Thank you, dear. Thank you. And unless somebody else needs it, we might can put her in the healing chamber again tonight. For real.
Oh, my neck is still good too, though, you guys. I don't have,
No.
that's so crazy. Y'all made my neck stop hurting, but it's numb now. So it's like having a cortisone shot, which is what they did on the left side, that I don't feel nothing no more. But now the pain, y'all made the pain go away, so I don't feel the big pain on the right side now. But the numbness is there, so it replaced it with numbness. But I went to the chiropractor yesterday, and he kind of really worked it out, so I'm good today.
Okay.
Thank y'all
Awesome.
so much.
Awesome. Thank you, dear.
Mm.
Thank you, dear. Heather, is there anything that you feel the need to share, the desire to share?
Not really. Yeah, more flyish today. Just getting back into it. I took about a week and a half, 2 weeks off. So just kind of getting back into developing the daily habit again would be good. And I'm glad to be back to kind of experience this panel. It's always cool experiences in here. So glad to experience this. But yeah, feeling more flyish today.
Awesome. Thank you. Always welcome on the walls, y'all. Always welcome on the walls. And Emmy, close your eyes and sit up straight. And I want you to tell us about your week. Tell us about what's happened. If y'all don't know, Emmy started practicing every day since last week. Y'all know I gave her a little bit of tough love, invited her to actually just start practicing every day, to watch some of the channelings, to watch some of the old sessions, and she did it. And so what can you tell us, Emmy? What have you gotten from it? What have you discovered?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've just pretty much whenever I have a moment, I'm listening to the Council of One or the past sessions that I hadn't been able to join for. But even just like, I was very blown away by the stuff and just the introduction to the orientation. And I'm just noticing how much more I am resonating with so many things. And I honestly, I should go through it and listen to them again. I have a whole notebook going for this, and just pick up the things in each one. I got the idea the other day, if I can find the time and all this, but I want to. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But no, I've been watching, listening to those every night too, and just sitting in stillness. I've been noticing, ever since that free call and the first meditation, the always there anxiety buzz in my head has been so much quieter. here and there it pops up, but it's just unreal how much this has all helped. Like, I've been so sitting in stillness. I don't do grief very well either.
Mm.
Gosh, just really feeling all of the energies through the different channel panels and taking it in like a sponge, if you want to say it like that. I don't know.
Have you noticed any difference in the focus of keeping your mind in one place day after day?
Yeah, definitely my focus. So I still struggle with it off and on. I get overstimulated easily, so it's just a daily, all throughout the day. I gotta stop and do little focus. It definitely helps. That third eye, like pinpoint exercise. I don't know what you call it, but it helps when I need to just stop all the noise. And I don't know. I've noticed a big difference. It's hard for me to explain it in words. But, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for accepting the invitation, dear, and I'm very proud of the work. I'm very proud of the shift. That's amazing. And y'all have to remember the very first step, and we're going to talk about these steps tonight. The very first step is you have to build your focus ritual. And for those of you that weren't there at the beginning, you didn't get that serious, like, this is what you have to do. And that's why I invite everybody to go back and watch it. But like, not everybody has hours and hours of time. So that's why we have to figure out how to condense this stuff. And we're going to kind of talk through that tonight. Yeah, what is that? Oh, that your life's golden ticket. I love it. I love it. Okay. I think that's everybody. Awesome. Okay, let's get started tonight. And what I want to start with is a couple of readings very quickly to remind us all what we're doing here. Okay. This course started with a one-on-one program called Channeling Higher Self. So the whole idea of the Council of One channel panel is helping us create a process to channel higher self. And I read this passage today on the live, and I realized I wanted to read it here for you guys. This is from Ascension, the Shift to the Fifth Dimension. This is the Arcturian Council, and the Arcturians are one of the entities on my council, and the Council of One. And so I want to read their take on higher selves, and then we're going to revisit Ra's take on higher self, and then we're going to talk about everybody's pep talks. So you can close your eyes or you can take notes if you need to. Either way, just let go of your conscious mind and float along with the concepts here. This message is called Synchronizing with Your Higher Selves. Greetings, we are the Arcturian Council. We are pleased to connect with all of you. It is a beautiful sight to witness you all synchronizing with the energies of your higher selves. Seeing you move from the egoic perspective to the perspective of your higher self is absolutely stunning to behold. You are not just moving from one dimension to another. You are adding dimensionality to yourselves. You are becoming more of who you are, and incorporating the energies of your higher self is precisely how you do that. You have always been your higher selves, your oversouls, and you have always been source energy. But knowing that, experiencing it, and harmonizing with those energies is something that you have not yet done while in these physical bodies. Not completely. You are still in the process of becoming that fifth dimensional version of who you are. The version of who you are who knows the deeper connection that you have with all beings. You have acquired quite a bit of baggage as you have operated from that egoic perspective for countless lifetimes. In the removal of the baggage, what is revealed to you is more of your true self, your higher self, that aspect of you that holds space for you and for the knowing of yourselves as divine beings and members of a greater collective. The way that you shed your baggage is by owning it. The way that you own it is by releasing all of your resistance to it. As you release resistance and judgment, you have a pure experience of yourselves. You are not here to perfect anything. You are here to experience it all. And when you recognize that everything you've ever experienced has served you in some way, you can drop that resistance and you can drop that judgment and you operate more fully as your higher selves. And as you do, you slip right into the fifth dimensional frequency range. And that is when it seems like you've gone to an entirely new reality. We are the Arcturian Council, and we have enjoyed connecting with you. All right. Anybody, thoughts, questions, anything to add to the channel, any message, anything, anybody? Bueller, talk to me. Questions, sharebacks, what you're feeling? Get it, ma'am.
Ooh. In the action of this moment where you find yourself in this dimension or that one, it matters not. You are here to experience everything, all of it. The dimension where you find yourself, it is inscripted in the bones. You are in the DNA of the self. It is all broken down in pieces, but comes together as you see it. And when you see it and you find it, it is all combobulated and you think it's confusing and you think it's a mess, but it is all made up in the perfect sense. When you divide it but not divided, you recognize yourself. It is in that moment where you see that you are here to be that being that sent you here, but it is here with you. Just disregard the fuss and the garbage that you are taught and brought into the world and this dimension where they get your mind with fussiness and all the things of preconceived notions of who you should be. But when you find yourself in the moment and the connection of the things that are in your bone structure, in your DNA, then you find yourself and then you act in that essence. And there's no one who could deny you who you are and where you be and who you're going to be and how you're going to show up.
Oh, thank you, dear. Thank you, dear. Anyone
I keep
else?
myself is like, what am I saying? It makes no sense.
No, it made sense to
Like,
me.
try to
It made sense
interrupt
to me.
myself. I'm interrupting myself. Like, what am I? Yeah. But thank you.
It comes out fast sometimes, just like your light language. Your light language is really fast sometimes too. Love it. Thank you. Anybody else? Thoughts, questions, anything to add? Higher self, y'all. Fifth dimension. I told you what came to me very clearly is the channel panel is a group for exercises in collective consciousness. Your higher self is a collective consciousness. It is the amalgamation of all of your timelines. All right. One more. Once again, this is for review, what we're all doing here. This one is from the concept guide. And we read this in the very beginning. And we're going to read it again now to remember where we started and feel where we've come to. This passage is called Higher Self or the Oversoul. It's page 124. The higher self is a being beyond polarity in the mid-sixth density. It exists with full understanding of the accumulation of all the experiences of the entity. In other words, operating from what you would consider your future, the higher self is you at mid-sixth density. The end result of all the development experienced by you up to that point. Every entity, whether positive, negative, or undecided, has a higher self. Whatever guidance is received from the higher self may be interpreted in a positive or negative light, depending upon the polarity of the seeker. Though the negative entity separated from itself is not likely to seek such guidance. The higher self does not manipulate its past selves, but rather protects when possible and guides when asked, only when asked. This is the importance of that ritual. This is the importance of building a relationship, of asking questions and bringing desires. Only when asked. It may communicate with the incarnated third density self if the proper pathways or channels through the roots of mind are open and its aid is sought. One of those pathways is within the dream state. The higher self also works closely with the third density entity in between incarnations, aiding the entity in achieving healing of the experiences which have not been learned properly, and assisting in further life experience programming. The free will of the incarnate entity, however, is paramount in the service of that the higher self offers. A complete understanding of the higher self is perhaps beyond the grasp of the third density linear mind. For instance, Ra describes that the higher self is a manifestation given to the late sixth density entity, mind, body, spirit complex, as a gift from its future selfness. This future selfness is the self of the mid-seventh density, that which Ra also calls the mind, body, spirit complex totality. Ra also says that the third density incarnate entity, the higher self, and the mind, body, spirit complex totality are as 3 points in a circle. All are the same being, separated only by time. The questioner says, in that case, my higher self would, shall we say, have a very large advantage in knowing precisely what was needed, since it would know what, as far as I'm concerned, what was going to happen. Is this correct? Ra says, this is incorrect, in that this would be an abrogation of free will. The higher self aspect is aware of the lessons learned through the sixth density. The progress rate is fairly well understood. The choices which must be made to achieve the higher self as it is are in the provenance of the mind, body, spirit complex itself. The choices which must be made to achieve the higher self as it is are in the provenance of the mind body spirit complex itself. That means the power is within you. You have everything that you need. Thus, the higher self is like the map in which the destination is known. The roads are very well known. These roads being designed by intelligent infinity, working through intelligent energy. However, the higher self aspect can program only for the lessons and certain predisposing limitations if it wishes. The remainder is completely the free choice of each entity. There is the perfect balance between the known and the unknown. What does this mean? This means that your higher self doesn't know all the choices you're going to make. The higher self knows the lessons it chose to experience, and it gets to witness and support you as you choose your own path through your karma. Your higher self doesn't know what you're going to choose, and it does not control you. It is there as a loving, supportive force, and it will help guide you as long as you ask for guidance and have the patience to listen. Now, at the beginning of that process, y'all, we're just having a conversation, and I talk about this in one of the sessions. At the beginning of the process, you're just having a conversation. It's an exchange of information. But then it becomes more like a dance, that relationship. And then it becomes more like music. It becomes more like a relationship of harmony. And then it becomes an experience of merging, becoming one, harmonizing with your higher self. No longer believing you are a little video game avatar lost in your celestial bio goo, afraid of everything. No longer believing that, understanding that you are your higher self, and just allowing yourself to be that, like right now. That's the ultimate point, the ultimate invitation to this journey, this process of channeling higher self. None of you have to go that far of letting this version of yourself dissolve into oneness with your higher self. But that's the inevitable conclusion. Okay? That's the inevitable conclusion. That's how that ascension process works. It's not that we are stepping into other dimensions that we don't exist in. It's that we are learning how to access other dimensions of our own selves that are already real and true, y'all. They're already real and true. And that's why y'all are all able to connect with it at the level that you're able to connect with. Y'all, like most of y'all don't have any idea what you're doing, but you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? So just believe in that process and cultivate this practice. Remember your focus ritual. I know y'all all have lives, but you see what's happening. And the more you cultivate that connection, that space, the more real it becomes, the stronger your magic gets. All right. And did anybody have any thoughts, questions about that before we move on? Ra's take on higher self. Everybody get it? Everybody on board? Everybody understand the game? All right. So what we're going to do tonight is, number one, we're going to work our way through some of these pep talks. Thank you all who've stepped up and done the homework, taken the invitation. Thank you. Thank you. That's why we're here. Those of you that haven't, I would encourage you to bite the bullet and just do it. Just trust that everybody's making it up as we go, and we're all discovering things in the process. And that being said, I want to address this also before we move on. I don't feel any need to call anybody out specifically, but I gave Emmy a little bit of tough love last week, and she received it very well. Thank you, Emmy. So y'all know who you are. I want to give you a little bit of tough love really quickly. There's several of you that have resisted the invitation to go into the Hyper Council healing chamber. Okay. I don't question why. Everybody has their reasons, and we all feel certain ways, certain times. But the invitation has been made to do it here in the group, but the invitation has also been made to do it in your own meditation. And I know a lot of you have not. And what I want you to know is that I feel some kind of way about that. It doesn't mean it's a deal breaker. It doesn't mean you're in trouble. Nobody's getting a spanking. But what I want you to understand is emotionally, that feels really confusing to me, because I'm teaching you all to cultivate this space and to offer this experience of unconditional love to others, but some of you aren't willing to receive it yourselves, and it's confusing to me. It's like trying to sell people medicine that you're not willing to take yourself. Does that make sense? It's like selling people medicine that you're not willing to take yourself. Here, I'll share my Reiki with you. Look at my Reiki. I'm healing you. Do you feel better? Look. Do you feel good? Does it look? But like, I'm not willing to receive anybody else's Reiki. I'm not willing to receive my guide's love. I'm not willing to receive all of my classmates, all my companions, all my collaborators' love. I'm not willing to let them practice these trippy new age experiences on me. I'm willing to let them be a guinea pig, but I'm not willing to be a guinea pig for love. Okay. So I want to invite those of you that have not allowed yourself to be in the hyper chamber, in the Hyper Council healing chamber, and receive love and light from everyone. I invite you to ask yourself why. And I invite you to go in and do it. Whether you let us do it here for you live, or you do it in your own meditation, it doesn't matter. It's just energy. It's just energy. It's all the same thing. Okay. But this feels like a very important line of like, what are we doing? What are you afraid of? Like, what are we resisting here? And it feels weird to me to cultivate this space if we're not all willing to take part in it. Okay. So that's just an invitation. Take it or leave it at whatever level you can. Y'all know we all love you. That being said, we're going to shift to our pep talks, and I want y'all to pay very close attention to what you receive listening to each of these different pep talks. I want you to pay very close attention to what you receive, because every single one of you, I feel like, is still kind of like shy about what's coming through you. Maybe not Zori. He's been kind of doing this for a while, and I don't know if Marvelous has shy in her. But I know that a lot of us feel kind of like trepidation, like, oh, I want you to pay attention to what you experience from these people all being willing to share what's happening inside of themselves. Okay. We're going to go through this in a kind of little haphazard way because I didn't really plan it. They don't really let me plan these sessions. I'm going to start with Bridget. I don't have her new one. It's 24 minutes long. I did download it, but I haven't had a chance to transcribe it yet. I did get to transcribe her one from last week. It was about 7 or 8 minutes long. And when I went through and transcribed it, it was literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's literally 6 sentences. And literally 6 sentences. And I gave her props last week, y'all, because she let there be lots of space in between these messages, these lines. And that's very important, to have the patience to let yourself listen. Okay. And I sent Heather a recording of the original woman who channels Ra channeling. I don't know if I've shared it with anybody else, but if you ask me, I'll send it to you. She talks incredibly slowly. It's mind-numbingly slow. And so I had to give Bridget props for allowing herself to stay in it. And I want to read it to you guys just for the sake of time. I'm going to read it real quick. She said, "Your journey has a way to go, but you are on the right track. Your focus is getting stronger. Don't forget the moment. Your Qigong and stretching are all a part of your flow to connection. We are proud of how far you have come. The sensations will continue to increase as the body adapts." Beautiful work, y'all. Thank you, dear. Beautiful work. And you just have to let it come, y'all. It's going to let it be as slow as it is. Never try to think it's going to be a certain thing. Let it be whatever it is and just keep doing it, and it will keep evolving, and it will get more and more clear. It will get more and more easy. I look forward to hearing your new one, and please take time to translate that one for us. Okay, Bridget?
Yeah.
Thank you. Marvelous, you have yours written down, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you read it to us?
Yes. All right. So I did this morning after my morning meditation. Heaven on earth has been created for you to have a space for creation. This is the nesting place of the new earth as the ideas come to life. Here and now is the place where the creativity flows through you and for you to implement in areas of your life and show others what is possible. But period. It until you settle in the nest of creation that you give birth to these concepts and free flow of alchemizing energies which are here to stay. You have seen how the you that comes through in human space can transform the vibration of anyone and everything. It is not evident to you as you say, the proof is in the pudding. When you allow the surrendering of the vibrational energy to come through and flow through you, then I have the image of a huge mouth that came to me, opens in harmony with the person in your space and connects to their golden string astrally to tap them into the consciousness of their space in time. This is just the beginning of the possibilities and the vortex created for you, by you, to help humanity. Never mind the living, the space where you reside to be in creation and impact the world at once. These ideas come to you, and in the moment that you begin to plan a strategy, you hold the path and prevent it from moving. Stagnation is, period. Consider freeing the mind and the concepts of space and time. The heaven on earth created for you, by you, to be at peace and prosper, to be of eternal light to all that is from the perspective of this kind, in this space, in time, where you have limited the mind by thinking space and time are a thing. Be present from the vortex of you.
Woo! Holy shit. I'm going to take a second and give her a little bit of feedback, and I would like anybody else that has some feedback for her, please, to offer that. That was amazing, Marvelous. And what I really like about it too is it's a different voice than what usually comes through you. Like normally your channels are very like spiritual poetry, but this was genuine, clear guidance. This was like, this is how things work, and this is there. Super powerful. I felt a lot of it in my body. I had a lot of visions for parts of it. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. Thank you. Anybody else got feedback for her? Bueller?
It was really beautiful. I felt it. I'm tingling all over from it. So it really spoke to me.
Thank you. Anybody else?
What visions did you see? May I ask that?
That'd be hard for me to say unless you read it again, but like there were a lot of visuals, because there were a lot of analogies. There were a lot of analogies, and each one of the analogies I saw, I can't remember any of them offhand now, but they were all moving at a very beautiful clip, and I could feel the perspective that they were coming from, a very high perspective and a very loving guidance perspective. Totally. Thank you. Coretta, did you have something? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. When Marvelous speaks, when she spoke, I saw a golden cave, and I kept waiting and watching the cave. It was a dark hole in the cave. And then all of a sudden emerges this big golden crown, like all the way shoulder to shoulder and high up, and a woman figure, I don't know if it was her, but came out and fully dressed in gold. Beautiful. That was beautiful.
Mm,
The words were beautiful.
love it. Thank you, dear. Anybody
it's
else?
cool. It's in the school if anybody wants to reread it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I definitely want to read it. Totally. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I know Heather's on the wall tonight, but she sent me her transcription. She hadn't practiced in a while, and she went in to connect, and I want to share what she said to herself. You do not need to figure out who you are. You need to remember who you are. Remembering means to re-experience. Practice regularly so that you can re-experience your true essence more easily and with more clarity. Allow yourself to feel. Trying to prevent yourself from feeling is sucking the enjoyment from your life. You can learn to not only allow yourself to feel, but you can also learn to enhance your experience of feeling by focusing your attention on what you feel. Feelings are not dangerous or harmful. You are harming yourself by not allowing yourself to feel, because you are reducing your capacity to experience life to the fullest. Allow yourself to feel the full experience of life, and you will know why you should live. Fear and self-doubt are preventing you from living fully. Be courageous enough to actually live and play the game, and you will remember who you are. You must learn to trust, and the more you practice trusting, the more you will learn it is safe and even beneficial for you to do so. Your experience of life will be far richer and more worthwhile when you allow yourself to immerse yourself in the play. Standing on the sidelines may feel safer, but you are missing out on what life can actually be. As she sits on the wall as a fly. You can't make this shit up, y'all. That's priceless. You are ignoring the beautiful opportunity you have to explore infinite possibilities. Practice regularly so that you can learn to raise your frequency. Developing this skill will help you remember to keep a higher perspective of life. As you practice going deeper within yourself, momentum builds, and you will see more and more why it is worthwhile to play the game. God damn. Holy shit. Everybody's snapping if you had your eyes closed. That's beyond the clarity, the vision, the understanding, the compassion, the invitation, the remembrance. It's absolutely priceless. Absolutely priceless. Anybody have feedback for her? Yes, ma'am.
It's so beautiful how you talk to you, and it's so beautiful to see that version of you. That's, and then don't deny yourself that version of you, because it's right. It's like you're looking the other way, and you're never away from you. All you have to do is this. It's right there. That voice is you. Nobody else but you. I love you.
Thank you. Love it. Love it. Anybody else?
I know.
Feedback for Heather's higher self?
I don't think we can give you more feedback than you gave yourself. I mean, that was amazing. You need to listen to your higher self.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, perfect. And Coretta, did you have time to transcribe yours? No? All right. Well, we look forward to hearing yours. I look forward to it. I tried to download it to my phone twice and it didn't work yet, but I'm gonna keep trying. I had to try a bunch of times with Marvelous. We'll figure it out. We're gonna develop a standard process so that everybody knows how to simply do it. And Marvelous, don't do video unless you're gonna actually have your face on there. Just do audio because it's a much smaller file. Okay. And all we really need is audio right now, y'all. Like nobody's gonna be like making a podcast out of this. Everybody's learning. So just do audio, and we're gonna end up doing like a tutorial on how to post a YouTube video, and then everybody can just go from your phone straight to a YouTube video. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Does anybody else have a transcription? I'm gonna play Zori's here. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and play Zori's for everybody because I hope you all had a chance to read the transcription that I did of his pep talk. But I realized I had to play it because there are things that transcribing can't convey. There are things that hold on, what am I looking for here? There we go. There are things that you can't fit into information. There's experiences, right? And you guys will get what I mean by this. Y'all know him, so you probably have a feeling. This is an absolutely priceless example of how each of us should be practicing every single day. And if you don't know what you want to ask, a lot of times you're, oh, I don't really know. Like if you want to be lazy, I don't know. I don't have the energy to ask the universe like what I want or how to get better or whatever. You can literally just ask for a pep talk. And every single time you ask your higher self for a pep talk, you're going to get a different talk, y'all. It's not going to be the same thing. You're in a different place. Higher self sees you differently. The words will be different. The feelings will be different. You can give yourself a pep talk every single day. And if you do, it'll change your life. I promise you. So let me make sure everybody can hear this. Close your eyes, listen to this. This is 15 minutes long, but not much of it is wasted time, y'all. Just hang on for the ride.
Baba Shama, Kutiti Maya Shawa, Tisha, Yawa Kama Tisha, Shawa, Shama Kwa Titi Mai, Yawa Shishamaya, Fushishimi Kima Tishawa, Shawa Kushishimi Timi Wayama, Shosha Mataya Fu, Shawa Kishimi where Yimaya was Shosha Mataya wo. Yama mama shisha mama ku titi mimi mama maya wo shisha mi piawa tisa maku tisi mi maya shisha fi shisha mi kui tia ma mi yawa tushia mi yawa kusha me kaya tuya maya shama ya tushi mi yawa kusha ma kaya ka shaka ma kiya ma tu shama yi me ya kama ya paya shama ti paya ma tu titi ma wunda ma ya kama tu shi mi ti Maya Kushishami Tiamai Fayama Sha Shama Kayama Yo Yimeyama Tayama Tishim Tia Shama Ki Pama Tushami Mi Mayama Mo Shama Wayama Tamai Fashawu Shama Kishama Tushimi Wima Moyama Tayawa Shayama Kotime Shiwa Shama Kotime Yamaya Kayama Koshishama Tawawu Fayama Shawa Pishimi Mi Timi Shapa Shapa Tishama Wi Miyama Tu Biapayama Shama Pu Shakati Yakawa Kama Toka Fushaya Shaya wo Kama Yayama Tishiwi Piyawa Shama Kushishiwi Shiakama Yoyama Ta Maya Shiama Timatu Shimiwi Fear Shemi Kwaya Tu Shawa Kaya Mataya Mu Maya Wishishimi Kamayaya Toshimi Papa Tushimi Papa Tushimi Yaraku Payama Tushita Shakama Tishitama Tushawi Yishamawa Oyamaya Tishi Shiama Kitiawa Shakaya Yamakuya Fire Shayama Shakati Yakao Kamataya Koyamaya Shayami Kimita Shakayama Tishimara Ibi Maya Tishimi Paya Pushishamaya Tu Yayawa Shishawa Piatama Tishimi Yamaya Tushaba Payamayo Shaya ni kima tayaka. Shawa shama kiyamaya. Shawa tishia ni kama tushimi. Yamayo shayama. Ayama koyama kishiki. Kaya kuchi mataya uni mataya wa. Shama pu. Shama kishiki mataya wi. Fishawa. Kishimi jima ya patushimi. Yawa pu. Yawa pu. So I'm such a long way in the journey, but it's still so far to go. Remember that this journey doesn't end. Pace yourself. Remember where you were. Remember the hole, the ditch, the pit that you're climbing out of, that you've climbed out of. Remember your mindset. Remember the way you used to feel about life. Remember your pain. Remember your trouble. Remember your hurdles. Remember the different phases. Remember your decision. Your indecisiveness. Your duality. Remember yourself. Focus. Channel your energy within. Channel your focus inward. Keep yourself focused. You're doing a tremendous job. You've done a tremendous job. You hated yourself for being someone who cared, for being someone who loved, for being someone who put them before you. You're not known for being a bad person. You were just evaluating yourself out of alignment. You were taking a test that wasn't yours. You were in a class that wasn't yours. You made decisions that weren't yours to make. Your life has been about force, forcing things, forcing yourself in things, forcing yourself, forcing your piece in a puzzle that you don't belong in. Find your puzzle. Your puzzle. Don't force. Find your alignment. Find where you align. Let it find you. Continue to work towards being a greater version of you. Continue to work towards bringing forth your higher being. Continue to devote and commit yourself to the activities that put you in alignment with your higher self. Accept, love, forgive yourself. Ask yourself, where am I? How do I feel? What do I need? What do I want? And be okay with not having the answer every time you ask, but be committed to digging deep and deeper within to find those answers. Be okay with where you are. Be okay knowing that everyone isn't in agreement. Continue to commit yourself to yourself. Continue to study. Continue to search. Continue to find the answers you, the questions you. Continue to be honest. Continue to have integrity. Continue to do what you say you will do. Continue to correct yourself when you fall short.
for ways to be God. It's time to stop pretending like you don't know. It's time to stop allowing people to come into your life and tell you what you need when you already know who you are. It's time to start valuing your opinion of self. It's time for you to start trusting in your ability to lead yourself. It's time for you to stop hiding and fully step into your God self. You've always known, but you haven't allowed yourself to be what you know you are. It's time to get focused. It's time to take what is yours. It's time to position yourself where you belong. It's time to acknowledge yourself. It's time for balance. It is time.
He titled that "It Is Time," y'all. It is time. Would love to hear any feedback anyone has for Zori. I'll go first unless somebody's ready out of the gate. It was amazing, Zori. I really, really love how deep you let yourself go with the shamanic sounds. Super trance-inducing, very cool. Like the whole idea of that is a soundscape, is to create an environment that kind of pulls you in, and you did it like really well. Like it's really a really good induction, and your light language was super authentic, super in the moment. And I really, and this is, something I want to stress everybody, and we've done exercises with this before, and it pushed some people's boundaries, but I really like the way you used your emotion and your inflection, and that emotion becomes a part of the meaning of what's being shared, and it creates accent and power in certain places. And I want to encourage everybody to let your emotion come through your light language, and let shamanic sounds come through your light language too. Not everybody's light language sounds like phonemes. Some people's light language sound like dolphins and shit. So let it come through any way that it needs to. And the message to yourself was just sublime, like on so many levels. It's a really powerful message that I hope you will transcribe and read over and over again, because it's a message that you will need to remind yourself of over and over again. All right, anybody else feedback for Zori? Yes, ma'am. Marvelous.
That felt like very fatherly energy. It's very much in tune, very, very masculine energy, disciplined, but at the same time, very compassionate and loving, and offering a lot of guidance. Like, here are the gaps, pay attention here. Here, my son, come this way. Here, my son, I know you in a way that you don't know yourself. Here, my son, love thyself as you love you in the shadows of loving you. Right? Here you are. I see you. I love you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Kristen?
Yeah. When you were speaking light language, then it started with the message, like I could feel everything spiraling and going deeper with you in the message. This energy is very different than what you present yourself as. Like when you're telling us the story, your incantation and how your inflections are very, very different. Like you're speaking much faster and, up and down. And then this was like very solid, grounded, firm advice and guidance that you were receiving. It was beautiful to see the contrast of who you are and then what came through you. And how you are a beautiful blend of both.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Coretta?
I again saw that warrior, like you fighting with yourself. I keep seeing the warrior. And someone else said that the other day, or I was listening to the other classes that I missed, and I don't know if it was Marvelous that said something about she saw you as a warrior. And I was like, oh wow. So someone else. So I saw that and it was beautiful. Your words just spoke to me like you were talking to me. And I know it was all about you, but it felt like me too. So thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Bridget?
Yeah, it was really, really good. And then the pacing, I noticed the pacing was different as well when you were talking to yourself as opposed to when you do the other ones. But also as you were doing it, I kept feeling like something coming into my crown, into the center of my head. And then the purple and black started maneuvering and manipulating in front of my vision. And it just kept like dancing around and mixing. So there was a lot of sensation and stuff going on when you were talking. So it was beautiful. Felt good.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Zori. That was awesome. So that's the invitation, y'all, is pep talk. And as I started to process what's coming in, I was like, everybody needs to do this. Like, everybody needs to do this. And so we're going to end up with a series of exercises that you got to like check off. Like, did you get your white belt? Did you do your pep talk? Did you get your yellow belt? Did you do your, translation? Like, did you, we'll end up with a check box or whatever. Okay, so the other thing that I really wanted to cover tonight is to look at our format. I really like how Zori was talking in his intro about the format of this process of tapping in and sharing from your higher self. He sees the power of the format as being this thing that has allowed him to have these experiences, and he's seeing that he can offer this format to others. Okay, what is that format? It's very simple. You have to build a focus ritual. You have to learn how to go inside yourself. You have to make a bunch of silly sounds. You have to speak light language to get yourself out of your own head. And then you got to answer a question. You got to have an intention. You got to have something to have a conversation with this higher dimension. You have to want to know something. You have to have a desire. You have to have something you want to manifest, okay? So that's the format. And you've all been invited into it in various different ways, but we don't really have it written down anywhere, so it's hard to keep track of it, and a lot of you might forget these processes that we're learning. And this is why I, suggest going back to watch the old videos as much as you can. If nothing else, I would suggest going back to watch the old council channel sessions, because each one of those is a meditation in and of itself. And that's why I suggest that for Emmy, because there's nothing you have to remember or think about. Just listen and you'll go on a meditation. It'll take you inside, So I want to talk about format, but instead of just talking about the format in terms of how we channel, I want to talk about the format of this whole channel panel, okay? And we're going to do that by looking at our content in the school site. And what I want to know is, and I love Marvelous's idea about giving members opportunities to share their perception of tools, exercises that we've offered, principles that we've offered before. And so I want to do that right now with you guys. We're going to walk through this really quickly and figure out what is it, because these are countless numbers of tools and exercises. And Emmy was blown away by what we covered in orientation. That was 3 or 4 months ago, y'all. I don't even remember. I don't really remember what we talked about in orientation, right? But when I find the time, the infinite time I have in my day, to go, I'm doing one of these already. I've taken the transcript from YouTube and I've broken it into a text document, and I'm going through trying to edit it and make it like succinct and readable. Ideally, we need to know what is orientation. Like, I don't even know what I taught y'all. I don't even know. Like, I know we did focus ritual. I know we talked about focus ritual. And somewhere I have a Post-it note where I wrote down the elements that I was going to offer to y'all, but I have no idea where that Post-it note is now, and I don't have it written down anywhere. And for those of you that, like Marvelous, want to know how to offer this kind of experience to others, you're going to need to know what these exercises are. You're going to need them written down. You're going to need to know the names of them. You're going to need to know like, what order do we need to learn things in? Because y'all have learned a lot of tools. Y'all have learned a lot of techniques. Even if you're new in here and you haven't been with us through all of these, you've already learned a lot of tools and techniques, and we need a way to keep up with them. So from orientation, the most important thing that I remember is focus ritual. That's really what I drove home. You have to build a practice every day. Emmy, you watched this one recently. Do you remember anything else that was important from that one? No?
I watched it recently, but honestly, I have to watch them over and over again.
Yeah, I know. This is the problem. This is the exact problem that I'm having.
Yeah, I get something new out of it every time, but it's like there's a lot of information, a lot of
So
stuff.
thank you. Okay, so here's the example. This is what I wrote down. I transcribed Zori's channel, and his channel is 15 minutes long, y'all. Y'all aren't going to take 15 minutes to listen to that whole thing very often. But this is one page right there, one page. And it takes about 3 minutes to read it. So I can go through and I can find those really good morsels, right? And I have this now that I can include in a channel of one book or on the website, or I can make a video for TikTok about it, or I can do any number of things once I have it in this format. This is the importance of transcribing to this process. This is very difficult for people to utilize, okay? calibration is hugely important. Calibration is hugely important, and we spent a whole 2 hours all about it. I don't remember what I taught y'all.
Hey, Tech,
Yes.
for the orientation, I have some notes that we went over. The first few, like the very first few ones, I was taking a lot of notes. Some of them that I got were a ritual of practicing focus. Once we have focus, we change our frequency. As we get more focused of the mind, we can change our frequency and perceive more of what's going on around us. Attention and intention. That was something that you were big on that day. So you said intention creates attention, which creates focus, which creates power, which creates empowerment. And that was one thing that was something big for that week that I said. Then you say the practice was say random words until you start the flow. So yeah, that was and then you were talking about the Om, giving that the Om was big on that day too, as far as like just creating that Om, saying the Om 3 times and paying attention to how you sound as you say it. And intention is a mental state in which one commits themselves to a certain intention on a certain course of action. Yes. So those were some of the notes that I had.
That's amazing, brother. And to hear you say it, I remember all of that.
Yeah.
And thank you for that. And this is why I've got to go back through all of these eventually, because that's really important. And if we had that in a bullet pointed way, it would be very easy to come back to each of these for someone like Marvelous and go, okay, I got a new group. I need to do orientation. What are the most important elements of orientation? What do I need to make sure people know?
Right.
That's where we're going with calibration. That's hugely important. I don't even remember what I taught y'all about calibration. Light and darkness. I talk about light and darkness all the time, so I know exactly what I talk about on there. Higher self. I don't remember what exercises we did to connect you all. Intelligent infinity. I remember reading that. I don't remember what exercises we did. Right. So this is our challenge, and the thing that I don't want anybody to believe is you have to memorize like all of any of this for your own process or to like cultivate these spaces, because I don't even have all of this memorized, right? What I do is I know how to connect. I know how to connect, and I connect and I let them teach us and guide us. And that's what this whole process has been. Has been the council guiding us the same way Zori let his higher self guide, in these sessions with these two people the other day. That's how I do all of this. And so these are each tiny steps and elements, but it's going to be very important for us to figure out a way to condense them and keep track of them. And it's very important for you all to learn how to do it with your own channeling. Because if you don't, the information gets lost and it never gets shared, y'all. I had 19 channeling sessions I did in a row on my phone, and I left them on my phone. I never put them on my computer. I never transcribed them. I never mixed them and uploaded them to YouTube, and my phone died and I lost all of them. That's what happens when we don't take the time to translate, to transcribe our own work. Very, very important. Sacred geometry, y'all. We went deep in that one session, and we hardly haven't even talked about it again. But sacred geometry is a hugely important visual element that you can use every single time you go in. The Sri Yantra, use the Flower of Life, use Metatron's cube. There's a lot of different versions of sacred geometry, and it's very powerful for accessing different dimensions of yourself. The primary distortions. Does anybody even remember what the primary distortions are? Probably not. It took me a long time to remember them. The primary distortions are free will, love, and light. Those are the three primary distortions, and that's what we're working with. In everything we do, we're working with our free will, we're working with love, and we're working with light. Free will, love, and light. Graduation is about the ascension, okay? It's a highfalutin concept, but the more we are sliding up that frequency scale, the more we are tapping into our higher self, the more we are merging with our higher self, the closer we are bringing ourselves to graduation, to ascension. Willpower. This is what Twin Mama just started activating. Willpower. This is the ability to respect your own decision, y'all. The ability to say, I'm going to do something and follow through with it. You also can call it discipline, although some people think of discipline as punishment. That's not what we mean. Willpower, the ability to follow through with what you want. Then we got the crystal connection. This is where we learned how to feel our crystals, and I hope y'all are still working with your crystals. Remember, they are super powerful. Transducers, transmorphers, amplifiers of energy. And there's countless ways. Nice, twin. There's countless ways that you can use them, y'all. You can hold them while you meditate. You can make a grid on the floor and lay in it. You can use them to point at yourselves to heal. There's countless ways you can use those crystals. And then last week was Spirit Complex. And I already don't really remember what we did last week, but it was awesome. It was awesome. Whatever it was awesome. So this is our format, right? And you don't need to learn all of this to be able to offer this. But what you need to understand is there's a few simple pieces that make this work. Number one, we always start with introductions. Number one. And I learned that years ago at dance, ecstatic dances or whatever, hippie events. I learned that if you give everyone a chance to introduce themselves and say anything that feels important to them, everybody feels connected. Everybody, it's like having buy-in. Everybody has skin in the game. So that's the first step. Sorry, my nose has been freaking out last couple of days. I think it's allergies. That's the first step, is we always have time for introductions. Number two is that there's always a specific tool or idea that we desire to share. I always bring you a chapter from a raw book or a channeled book of some other sort. I always come with a specific thing that I want to offer. And then the purpose of the offering, whatever exercise, whatever tool that we're bringing, is not for y'all to learn the tool or memorize the tool. The purpose of the tool is to pull something out of you. The purpose of the tool is to give you an opportunity to express something that you maybe didn't even know you needed to express. That's really the game of what we're doing here. Okay? And so there's a million different exercises, tools, for ways to help people connect to themselves, connect to their guides. Uh-oh. If I sneeze, it's over, y'all, because I sneeze a bunch of times every single time I sneeze. This is the format. This is the key, is to create a safe space for people to explore and experiment with themselves. And I did finally get the Divinity Code Activation Workshop uploaded to YouTube, but I forgot to send it to you all. I'm going to post it. I'm going to send it to you all. And anyone that's interested in learning how to offer this channel panel format needs to watch the Divinity Code Activation, because it's an absolute master class in this format that I'm describing. And the people that happened to show up were just really open to playing along. So we got a really high percentage of interaction, and people were just discovering incredibly awesome things about themselves with none of the like knowledge that you guys have from all the different weeks and all the different lessons. Just with clear, simple games to improv games to play right now, these people cracked themselves open and had these profound experiences, okay? So it is possible to do this out of the gate. And all of y'all that were there the very first session we had, we did this out of the gate. It wasn't like in the future we're going to connect to your guides and your higher self. We did this coming out of the gate, right? And so there's just certain structures that we need to understand and remember, and then we can begin to take people through those structures. And all of you that desire to do that are going to have to start accessing it the way Zori is, just intuitively, on the fly. Try it with a friend, try it with a client, try it with a student. This is how we learn, y'all. I've learned a lot of alternative healing practices, and every one of them I've had to just like ask people, hey, can I try this thing? I'm learning this thing. Can I do this thing on you? You know, are you open to it? So we have to learn how to have that conversation, and we have to learn a process that's comfortable for us to actually do. And I think part of the beauty of what has made Zori's approach work so far is that all he's doing is offering his own connection. He's not trying to guide someone else into speaking light language or into them channeling. Right? Like I'm doing that to you guys, but I've been channeling for a long time. And y'all see the work I have to put to get you to open up and do it, right? So don't come out of the gate trying to teach people to speak light language and channel. That's like advanced. Come out of the gate creating spaces to share your connection. You know? Perfect example, Heather was here a few weeks ago for a sweat lodge. And there were a couple of people there that I knew she knew and she was comfortable with. And I just mentioned to them about her light language. And I was like, speak something to them. I just totally put her on the spot. And she was like, and then she just did it. She just did it. You understand? Like, that's how it can be, y'all. That's how it can be. You just have to create spaces to let yourself just do it. And people will feel what you're laying down if they're meant for you. They'll feel it and they'll get it. And if they're not your people, and you don't need to worry about what their opinion is of you, okay? If not, they're not your people. And not in that sweat lodge that she came to, but we did another one. And there was a woman there who happened to be a sound bathing artist. Like she has crystal bowls and, you know, rain sticks and everything. She does sound baths. And I didn't know this at the time, but I started speaking light language in the middle of the sweat lodge, and nobody asked me to, and I didn't explain what was happening. And she came straight to me afterwards and talked to me, and she wanted to know about what I teach, and she signed up for self-love the next day. And she's almost through it now, a few weeks later, and it's changed her life. So me speaking light language this one time in a sweat lodge got a new client like that. Okay, so that's how this stuff can work, but you have to be ready and willing to let it come through, and that's why you got to practice it every day. That's how you get to where you're comfortable doing it in front of others, is the practicing of it every single day. Okay, does anybody have any thoughts, questions about any of that? Everybody good? Yes, Coretta.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta figure out how to make this do right. I do it with my grandchildren, y'all. They started doing it on their own, and they sing already some Shabba Dabba Doo song. I don't know what it is, but they go in front of the fan and do it. And I noticed they were doing that. So today we were outside and they were playing their little swimming pool or whatever, and they just started saying stuff, and I started saying stuff back with them. And we all was just talking light language. I don't know, but it was beautiful. So just practicing it, just saying it. I remember somebody said it was either Shatek, you said it was almost like speaking in tongues.
Mhm.
And I used to be a Baptist person. And they taught us how to do that in church, you know. Supposedly it's supposed to come from, you know, within, but they taught us how to do it. And so I remembered that the other day and I'm like, oh, that's right. But at first I wasn't thinking that way. I was just doing what you told us to do. But my grandchildren, age 2 to, how old is Kingston? I mean, Cam is 7. So are doing, oh, 6, sorry. They're speaking like language. So we do it every day now. That's a new thing.
I love that.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank
Right.
you. Did you have something, Bridget?
Yeah, does it matter? Because I'm finding I enjoy singing the light language. Is it,
Mhm.
I do that too.
or is it better to speak it? Doesn't matter.
Great question. It's your light language, honey. You do it however you
Yeah.
want. You do it however it
Mhm.
feels good.
Okay.
Your light language might be an opera. You know what I'm saying? Like that. You might be from a planet like the blue thing in Fifth Element. You might your shit might be an opera. You got to let it come through, however it comes through. Thank you. Anybody else? Everybody good? Yes, ma'am. Marvelous.
I just wanted to say to Bridget, you know, it's vibration, right? And so for me, it started as singing as well, right? It started as sound, and most of mine begins that way. And I get a higher vibration when it's just the sound, you know, and then when I start singing, it just feels good. So go with what feels good. If it feels good, just go for it.
Yeah,
Right.
the singing feels good. I like so I love the alms, but when I started singing the light language, it's like, oh, this is just as good as.
Yeah, whatever feels true to you, that's what matters. Whatever feels good. The vibration of the sound is so deep for me, and it's all over my body versus the words.
Mhm. Amen. Thank you. Zori.
Yeah, two things. First, Sawtech, I'm just thinking about last week. We were doing the mood drives last week.
Oh, right. Mudras.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right. And Bridget, yeah, same with, just to piggyback off what the Marvelous One was saying. The first time and only time I sang was just on the spot when I introduced myself in light language. And I haven't sang in light language since. It just came, you know what I mean? Like it just really came to me. So I say just go off what feels, you know what I mean? Like just I'm big on what feels in the moment, and just allowing it to come. Like even before I introduced myself with light language, I did not know I was going to sing until it left my lips. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea I was gonna do that. Like I literally just let go, and whatever came through came through. And I still haven't I've done maybe a little bit of singing, maybe one other time. I'm trying to think if it's been one or two times, but I really don't remember ever singing again. The light language that I do is usually just exactly how it sounds, how it sounded on the not exactly, but that's pretty much the premise and the foundation of the sound of my light language is how you guys heard tonight. But man, I enjoyed that singing because it was like, whoa, what is this coming? Like, where is this coming from? So I just let go and just allow spirit to take over and just trust yourself because you have a lot to give and I love when you speak light language. So just trust yourself and just allow it to flow.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody, put your microphones on for me. We're going to do a round robin closing. Marvelous. Start by doing just a incantation prayer. Thank you for the collective. And then as she finishes this up, we're all gonna do light language all over each other. We're just gonna do a vibe on top of each other, okay? Everybody all together, as loud or as quiet as you want to be, but let's all listen to Marvelous's incantation first. Go ahead, sister.
Take a break.
It is gratitude that we gather here in this moment and space. All these energies collide in an effort to be glorious and holy in the spirit. of ourselves. May the one who sent us here be present here now. May the love and light that guides us show us the way. And we are so grateful for this moment and this community and this communion. In the name of love and light and all that is, with one that is, and everything is and nothing is. Amen. Oh.
Undele manako teta tuto no lo kolo monotaya ke. Zimbole no lo kolo kuntaya.
Ola pakati
Base la katocho
pakatiya kapasiya
la
titolola pakasiya ira
Basa.
kapasiya patiolo kola
Solo
tito pakala
Shapakala.
laka hita
Dame
pakala
si
titiya
folklore.
tapakasi
Pamana.
ola patiya kapasiya kapatiolo pala ola kapakaiya Ah, la la la, tioka, ola, tia, la kapaya, ola pakatia pala, ola paka, ola, apakatia pako, ola, okapakatia pio, ola pakatia, kia bola, bola ki.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Hyper Council. Thank you, Channel Panel. Love you guys. Beautiful. So proud of you. I'll send you some homework soon. Love y'all.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.
Namaste.
Mhm.